It's Fraser, yeah. You know, it's funny, her partner's in the band, and when I'd gone to rehearsals and we were trying to work out this new version of it, I think he could sense that I was a little, I don't know, a bit weird about it, because, I mean, I've had, back in the tricky days, people used to fill in for me on tour sometimes, and anyway, I mean, I'm a big fan of Liz's, and I wanted her to, be aware that I was, I wanted to be respectful, to her in taking it on and doing it anyway. And so he was telling me that the reason they moved to Bristol is because they liked what I did on the Tricky records, and they're like, well, let's go there. And that's so weird. So in a way, they've gone there, and the Massive Boys met her in a supermarket in Bristol. And it's bizarre, this kind of cyclical influence, you know what I mean? I mean, the thing that I think I've had in common with Massive Attack's music is that a lot of the singing that I do is quite intimate when it's in the studio, a lot of close mic stuff, and it's very difficult to, to replicate, that when you've got to kind of compete with the sound of a live band. And so you have to kind of reinterpret and kind of redirect, how you express yourself. So it's just searching. It's a kind of listening and trying to feel it and figure it out, and not trying to be too technical, because then you're just a bit of a robot, and it's kind of a two-dimensional expression, and the way people people can't feel it. Then you can hear it, and that sounds nice, but it's. The point is, it's supposed to be an experience, and it's supposed to, feel something. My parents are more like into, this kind of current pop R&B of the time, and soul music from the 70s. There was occasionally a bit of opera, but my mum's quite a dark horse. She was kind of, you'd find like a Sex Pistols tape somewhere and be like, really? And I'd ask her to tape like Heavy Metal Heaven for me. She'd be like, I really like that, Suicidal Tendencies. And you're like, okay. But so, not really, I don't remember them playing out much blues, but my piano teacher had a jazz band, and he was trying to kind of usher me into participating in this kind of jazz thing at school with two other kids so I was about 14 and the other kid's like 15. And weirdly, one of those other kids, Dan Brown, has co-written two of the songs on this Massive Attack record, which is super weird. But no, I think I started, as a result of that jazz band thing, I started listening to Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald. So that's what I can think of in terms of jazz and blues. Tom Waits I liked a lot for just being able to, it's really visual. I mean, that's a production thing as well. But I liked, a lot of his imagery and his lyrics. I like suggestion in lyrics rather than spelling it all out. I don't know, I have a consistent style. Sometimes I do kind of like to spell it out and like everything really simple. And I think when I very first started writing, I was kind of more prosaic and used lots of big complicated words that no one would understand. It's like utterly pointless, because the point is communication, isn't it? I was talking to D yesterday, 3D, and he's like, you should have called it the seeding process. And now I'm like, oh damn, I don't know. But someplace simple. That came about because I've been kind of by necessity. I was touring only with a percussionist. And he'd come around my house with as many toys as he could find, and we'd knocked a set together to do this tour in about 4 hours. And yeah, so we had to kind of reinterpret all the songs and just take the essential elements of it, each hook and try and convey that with. At the time, I was just touring with a Wurlitzer, and I play guitar, and he plays drums and guitar, and then whatever else, like. I just got so many, like we have kalimba, and I play a log drum. Anyway, so Damon Albarn came to the very first Massive Attack show, And he hadn't seen my show before, and I'd known him for a really long time now, and I've worked with him on Gorillaz, but he only knows me in this kind of as a singer. So when he saw this show, he was like, "We got to make a record like that." And like in the past, I've had other friends, like an artist friends, who have seen it and been like, "You've got to make a record like that." But it was always kind of, I've been touring a lot and didn't have time to kind of develop new material and set it up. It was all a bit too difficult to kind of pull together. But Damon was like, "No, just do exactly that." I was like, I can do that. I think there was, Portishead and Tricky, we were managed by the same people. And everybody knew each other, and I think there was a certain atmosphere at the time. It's kind of, in that period, new music, there was a kind of what was it? It was allowed to kind of surface, there are certain kind of seasons that where people aren't really ready to, what is it called? Aren't really ready to kind of accept something new. They really want the security of something very familiar. And you can go, and you know how it is, they go through like a resurgence of like whatever, guitar from the 60s or, And, and what I think was beautiful about that period was that this new thing was allowed to, and genuine kind of expression was allowed to kind of surface and be, accepted and get out there. I think this movie Sholay, this Indian musical, like a Bollywood movie, when I was a kid, like the first huge influence. When I was singing along to words I had no idea what they meant. And it's so funny, on my first record, Quixotic, I was doing this track, Ilya, and I was like, I really want Indian strings in this, and I was like, I'm going to get hold of this film, Sholay, and show the guys as an influence. And then it's like one of those things you have in your memory, and you're like, yeah, that was so amazing, it's like that. And I found the section, and it just sounds like cowboy music, but done Indian style. It's not quite Indian strings, but the other particular thing about that is how they distort all the strings. It's really shrill, kind of distorted, high end. But I just think it's so beautiful as a texture. Yeah, Sholay, I'd go with that as the biggest influence. And then Blade Runner.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I think for the people making it, it's just part of kind of good health in a way, I think, to be able to express stuff and so it's just about being like a whole person, so that you've got your outlets before, otherwise they come, it's, in that way of kind of keeping your health so it doesn't, tension doesn't manifest as an illness or, doesn't screw up your relationships or, so that's kind of, that's great. And then why is it important for other people? I think that sense, when you get that moment of recognition, when you hear something, like you think, oh, only I've experienced that, or when something helps to see, you just see something in a different light. It can be really, in the old hippie sense, it can be very healing. But it can serve any kind of purpose, can't it? It can help you get up in the morning. I recommend ABBA for that. And it can help you, get in the mood to go out or, and, and it can be just entertainment. Yeah, like any art medium.